We are told a specific story about success. The only way to get more out of life is to pack more into it. More hours, more hustle, and more sacrifice. If you look at the average professional today, you see a blur of motion. 4 cups of coffee, bloodshot eyes, 3 screens open, and a calendar that looks like a Tetris board. We are exhausted, and we equate that exhaustion with ambition. We're moving incredibly fast, but somehow we remain stuck in the exact same place. Take a look at your own to-do list right now. There might be 20 or even 30 items on it. Now, be honest. How many of those tasks, if you actually finish them today, would genuinely alter the trajectory of your career or your life? 2? Maybe 3? The rest of that list is noise. A full schedule is comfortable because crossing off tiny irrelevant tasks delivers a reliable dopamine hit. But motion does not equal momentum. Busyness is an illusion of progress. In 1906, an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto noticed a strange inequality while observing his garden. He found that roughly 80% of his peas came from just 20% of his pea pods. When he applied this observation to the wealth distribution in Italy, the exact same mathematical imbalance appeared. This chart shows the Pareto principle, commonly known as the 80-20 rule. You can see a massive cluster of effort here on the bottom, producing almost no results, while a small handful of inputs creates a huge spike in output. 80% of all results stem from just 20% of the effort. When you apply this math to your own schedule, the reality is difficult to face. If 20% of your actions drive 80% of your real value, that means 80% of your daily grind is producing almost nothing. You are burning yourself out on activities that mathematically do not matter. Leonardo da Vinci often set aside lucrative commissions to spend years studying light, water, and human anatomy. These detailed sketches represent a long-term investment in the specific foundational principles of his craft, the essential knowledge that allowed him to produce his most valuable work. Achieving elite output doesn't require you to work harder to complete that bottom 80%. It requires you to ruthlessly eliminate it. When asked how he carved his famously detailed statues, Michelangelo reportedly said that he simply saw the angel in the marble and carved until he set him free. He didn't build a masterpiece by adding material. He achieved perfection by chipping away the excess stone. This is strategic subtraction, the discipline of removing the non-essential until only the most valuable core remains. To apply this to our own lives, we have to start by attacking the ultimate form of modern excess: multitasking. We treat the ability to do 5 things at once as a highly valuable skill. It isn't. This animation shows what happens neurologically when you try to juggle tasks. Your brain doesn't actually run parallel processes, it rapidly switches between them. This constant flashing between contexts creates what researchers call attention residue. The mental friction of switching tasks drastically degrades your cognitive capacity, effectively lowering your IQ by 10 to 15 points in the moment. The antidote is monotasking. When you hold your attention on a single, complex problem for an uninterrupted block of time, your brain enters a state of deep concentration known as flow. Achieving this state requires closing the tabs, turning off the notifications, and removing the noise. Once the distractions are gone, deep work is all that remains. In medicine, there is a concept called the minimum effective dose. It is the exact smallest amount of a specific drug needed to produce a desired physiological result. Anything less does nothing. Anything more just causes harmful side effects. Apply that same filter to your workday. A 20-minute meeting with a strict agenda achieves the exact same outcome as a 1-hour rambling call, minus the fatigue. 2 focused 30-minute blocks of email per day handle the communication requirements without the toxic side effects of constant anxiety. This rule of subtraction also dictates your recovery. Rest is a biological requirement. It is the specific window of time when your brain adapts to new information and repairs itself. When you let your mind wander, a specific neural circuit called the default mode network activates. This idle time is mathematically required for your brain to process information, connect distant dots, and solve complex problems below the surface of your conscious awareness. True rest provides the fuel for the work that actually moves the needle. To maintain this system, you need a mechanism to protect your reclaimed time, and that comes down to a single, highly uncomfortable word: no. We are conditioned to view no as a rejection or a social slight. But in a system where your time and energy are strictly finite, no is simply an act of ruthless resource allocation. The investor Warren Buffett famously noted that the difference between successful people and really successful people is that the latter say no to almost everything. When Steve Jobs returned to Apple, he didn't introduce 50 new product lines. He killed dozens of projects to focus the entire company on a tiny handful of devices. This intense selectivity is what allows visionaries to fiercely protect their focus. Your capacity is a zero-sum game. Every time you say yes to a trivial obligation, an endless email chain, or an unnecessary project, you are actively saying no to your highest goals. None of these strategies will last unless you examine why you filled your schedule in the first place. Why do we treat exhaustion as a badge of honor? Why do we use a packed calendar as proof of our own worth? Imagine operating differently. Imagine waking up to a calendar that has empty space by design, spending your morning on a single vital project without checking a notification, and taking genuine time off without a trace of guilt. Stepping off the treadmill can feel alarming. When everyone around you is rushing, slowing down feels like falling behind. But you aren't falling behind. You are making a deliberate choice to prioritize depth over breadth. You are not the sum of your busyness. Motion is not meaning. By choosing to do less, you create the space to produce work with actual depth.